Kane here. In this video, I would like to show you some of the new features supported by the 28 scripts that I wrote for InDesign to help people lay out spreads and do alignment and sizing, matching up objects on the page. The objects that can be manipulated are rectangular objects such as images, groups, and text blocks. The scripts include setting margins for the pages and the spreads symmetrically done easily, and options to put pictures in the corner. Now, other options, other relationships between pieces of the page require that you have some mechanism to be able to talk about more than one object to InDesign or to the script that is operating inside InDesign so that you can talk about relationships between them. In order to do this, I have introduced the notion of naming these objects. So you can go through and name all the objects on the spread, or the part that you're working on right now, and then manipulate them and talk about how their positions and sizes relate to each other. So in this short video, I would like to show you some of the kinds of things that you can achieve by doing this without showing you the details about how I set up these relationship specifications. That will be in more detailed videos that you can look at after you've gone through this and gotten excited about the possibilities, I hope. So we'll start with this spread in which I have 6 pictures taken in the 1970s down in Illinois with my 3 daughters climbing on a log cabin in a park, and some pictures of the interior of the cabin and a windowsill in the cabin. In order to illustrate what you can do, I'm going to use yet another feature that is supported here, which is the notion of snapshots. So a snapshot captures the information on the spread. You can name the snapshot anything, so therefore you can have an arbitrary number of snapshots, which are useful because you can, if you're a designer and you have an art director that you need to get approval from, you can gin up several different options, save them as snapshots, go to the art director and just go right through the snapshots, bing, 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 and get a decision and go on with your life without too much fuss. So I have used snapshots to illustrate the places that you can get to by using these scripts, with the examples on this spread and one example on the succeeding spread here. So in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to put the picture, this picture of the climber, of Helen climbing, in the upper right corner of the page. This spread represents 2 facing pages, so I won't bother showing you the margins right now, but you will see. So this will go into the corner. The picture of Karen climbing will go next to Helen, be the same size. The picture of Susan climbing will go next to that, be the same size. We'll make a little V-shape thing going off, opening to the right. So if we go to the spread, well, we first thing we have to do is identify what spread we're in. So this gives a message saying you've got to select an object, so the script knows which of the spreads you're dealing with. So we'll select any of the objects, and then we can go here and say we would like a snapshot. And so I've named the first one snap 1. So if I say OK, here is the arrangement that I created. So you see how fast that was to get there. And what I've done to create this took me a couple of minutes to name these 6 pictures and 5 minutes to set up all the relationships here. So this was a 7-minute task to get to this relationship. Now, one of the things that you can do in these scripts is, rather than specifying a numeric quantity by giving a number, you can give a parameter name to that. The parameter name can be also modified by a plus or minus sign, but you can't do more complicated arithmetic on these parameters. So I have two parameters involved in this setup here. One of them is the height difference between the adjacent images, and the other is the spacing horizontally between the neighboring images. So if we change, for example, the spacing here between the images, then we get another version of this script, of this arrangement, which was in Snap 2. So if I get a Snap 2, you see now we have them moved out. All I did was change the parameter value and ask for a recomputation of the layout, which happens quickly. It's not the same calculation, of course, as the calculation which is retrieving the snapshot. A third version of this is achieved by looking at the parameter of the vertical spacing. So that would be Snap 3 here. So if I pick Snap 3, then we get the vertical spacing change. So you see you get varieties here, and they're all saved away, and they are all quickly retrieved. Another option here, the way this was set up, the picture of Karen is to be the same height as the picture of Helen. Picture of Susan is the same height. This is the same width. This is the same height. This is the same height. So all of these sizes depend on or rooted in the size of the upper right picture, which, by the way, is in the corner of the margins here. So if I change the size of that image, so for example, but without a recalculation, we will go here and we will go to Snap 4, which will show you the resizing of the picture of Helen. And because everything else depends on its neighbors and back by ancestry back to the size of Helen, then if I do a recalculation here, then I get to the next snapshot, which is Snap 5 here, and then in Snap 5 everything gets small, and the spacing is the same because the spacing was set up as a parameter value. The spacing could have been set up in terms of a fraction of the size of something, in which case the whole thing would have the effect of zooming. Okay, now let's go to the next spread down here, where I have 3 pictures, which I have named Tree, Sunset, and Butterfly. And I've set up that the relationship should be that the sunset should go in the upper right corner, the butterfly should be beneath it, the same width. And one of the things we can do in these scripts is specify that the height of the tree should be equal to the space between the top of the sunset and the bottom of the butterfly. That's a kind of conception that InDesign does not deal with. It will show you in the little alignment colored lines that will show up when you're resizing something, but the scripts just handle all of that automatically for you. Take care of all the details. Your creativity is flourishing, and the details are taken care of. So here we have then a first snapshot, which I guess we have to pick which spread we're on, and we have to be on this spread, and we'll pick the first. So this is the snapshot created by arrangement created by setting the width of the sunset picture to an arbitrary size, the width of the butterfly picture to match this width of the sunset picture, the spacing here to be a fixed amount, and then the tree picture to be the height of the space between the top of the sunset and the bottom of the butterfly. So you get this kind of arrangement. Now to illustrate how easy it is to change these things, I will give you a quick glimpse of the very complicated but easily structured user interface dialog where specifications of complex relationships can be named. So let's have the goal of moving the butterfly down to the corner and show you what happens. So we start with here, we pick the butterfly, and we go to the script. I do this quickly because I do it on shortcuts. This user interface has 4 parts, really. There's a part on the top, which is about presets of the settings. There's a part at the bottom, which is about saving what you liked as a preset. And then there's 2 sections. The top section, called location, is about where this thing is located, the thing that is chosen, and the second is how big is this. And so the new location of this can be based on the page margins rather than on the size of the other thing. And if I want to move it to the lower right corner, I simply say that I want the lower right corner to be in that corner. And because I don't have an image named above, I have to say that the size will not change. And if I say OK, then quickly, you see how fast that goes. I have the new arrangement, and I have one of the features of all of these scripts that change your layout, namely that you get an approval question. So if you click OK, you've got this layout to work with, and these settings are all hidden and saved inside your document. If you click Cancel, then everything is undone and you're back where you started. So I'll show you what happens. If I click Cancel here, I'm right away back there, and I can return to that position by changing. I have to change all this again, so let's not do that. We'll just say Cancel here. And so I've shown you some of the features that you can do with these scripts, which take care of details, which lets your creativity run rampant. You don't have to obsess with details. You can just be creative. You can create snapshots. You can show them to your art director. You can get approval. You can be happy. You can go on with your project, and your art director will be happy because you've shown him or her those options, and it really works well. Thank you for listening. By the way, there is a trial version of this script, these scripts. There are 28 of scripts in here. Most of them have to do with management, like managing presets and deleting presets and so on and so forth, and parameter values and so on. And so there are only about 8 or 10 that I use commonly to pull off my making photo albums of my pictures of my life. So thank you. By the way, the trial version will show you all of these arrangements that you have made. It will store all of these specifications inside your document, but you don't have the results to work with unless you buy the full version. But once you buy the full version, you can just click on something like we did here, and the computation is done right away, and you've got your layout back that you liked when you were dealing with the trial version. So there's a lot of options here. There's a lot of possibility for creativity and fun, and happy art directors and happy designers. Thank you for listening. By the way, the place to find this is showing now at the bottom right of your screen in the Adobe Exchange, where you can access the trial version. You can see some examples, and you can purchase the full version. Thank you.